So it's about 4 p.m. here in Belgium. I have a pile of textbooks on my desk for a test that is happening in a few days, and on my screen to the right of them there's a little red truck stuck inside a mountain because I accidentally changed a gravity variable to a negative number. I think that pretty much sums up my life lately. My name is iLeapsy, and honestly, if you told me a year ago that I would be spending my Friday nights debugging physics collision shapes instead of, well, literally anything else, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. I made a video game, or at least I am in the middle of a very long, very chaotic process of making one. This didn't just come out of nowhere though. Like a lot of you, I grew up on mobile games, but for me, it was specifically Hill Climb Racing 2. I wasn't just a casual player, I was obsessed. I remember being that kid who would spend hours trying to get the perfect run, and then, this is the embarrassing part, I would actually record it and make YouTube videos about it. They weren't good videos by any standard. I mean, 720p, terrible audio, just me making records with some NCS songs in the background. But that community taught me something. It taught me that physics-based games have this weird universal language. Everyone understands the frustration of a car flipping over just an inch from the finish line. But back then, I was just a fan. I was on the outside looking in. I never actually thought I would be the one writing the code until 2018. So in 2018, a game called Roadfinger came out. It was exactly what I didn't know I wanted. You didn't just drive, you drew the road with your fingers as you went, and you would have missions to complete, crazy adventure maps filled with obstacles and stuff, and even an online event mode. I mean, I became completely obsessed with the idea of it, but there was a problem. At the time, my mom, let's just say she wasn't a fan of how much I was playing. She ended up taking my phone away as a punishment, so for months I couldn't play. I would sit there doing my homework, just dreaming about getting my phone back so I could finally discover everything that game had to offer. I would watch popular YouTubers play it, memorizing their moves, just waiting for my chance. And then I got my phone back, I went to find the famous Google Drive link you could get the game from, clicked on the link, and nothing. It was just gone. The Google Drive didn't exist anymore. There were no links to APKs on Google, just nothing. There were no warnings, no announcements, no explanation. So a company collaboration between Ground Zero, the developers of Roadfinger, and Fingersoft had ended, and they just deleted the game from existence. Almost like there was no trace it ever existed. So for a while we talked about it, my friends and I would wonder where it went, making theories like, what if it comes back even better? But after a few weeks, life just moved on. We all forgot, and honestly, I started to forget about my own dreams too. See, I had always wanted to make video games since I was a little kid, since I played my first ever game, which was Minecraft at the time, on the 360, but I never talked about it. I never told my parents or my friends or anyone. I kept it buried because I didn't think it was possible for just a guy to make something real. I would just say that I wanted to be a policeman or a firefighter or something like all kids did. And because I kept it to myself, that dream started to die. It sounds dramatic, but I was suffering inside. I was watching everyone else find their thing while I was sitting there, feeling like I was losing the one thing I actually cared about. Nobody noticed, I was just quiet. And then, out of nowhere, while we were talking with a friend about the HR2 track editor in his server, he would exemplify his message with words I had not seen in a while. This is where he mentioned the Roadfinger, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. All those memories, the punishment, the dreaming, the frustration of the game being deleted, it all came rushing back. We spent the next few hours scouring the internet. We were clicking on suspicious, shady download links, trying to find an APK that worked. Anything to bring the game back to reality, but nothing worked. Just constant black screens upon launching the game. Roadfinger was truly dead. But in that moment of failure, something else happened. I realized that if I wanted the game to exist, I was the only one who could make it happen. I wasn't going to let the dream die in silence. So I started learning, and I didn't just learn, I was absorbing information faster than any university textbook could ever teach me. I'm not even kidding, like I learned concepts in a single week that would usually take 3 months in a regular degree course. And so I was constantly posting updates on my friend's server, like look, the car moves, look, I can draw a line, but man was it clunky. I would post a clip where the truck was moving alright for 2 seconds, and then suddenly accelerated to a hypersonic speed and vibrated in a different dimension. My friends were seeing it all. The raw, broken physics, the mistakes, the small wins. At first, it was just a project to see if I could do it, but then something shifted. I decided to start talking about it in the SB Clan server, which is much bigger and has a way wider range of people than my small friends group. I shared a few clips, almost expecting people to ignore it or tell me it looked bad. Instead, people were actually interested, like really interested. I suddenly had 30 people asking when they could try it. 30 people who wanted to play this clunky physics mess I was building in my bedroom. So I started a proper, dedicated Discord server just for the game. It almost felt like a developer utopia. You usually hear about the devs praying for a bit of marketing or hoping someone notices their game. But here, the community already existed before the game was even finished. Those surprising motivation boosts were what kept me going. This is when I realized I wasn't just creating a dummy project, I was creating my first ever video game. So how does it actually work? The core of Draw Road Racer is exactly what I dreamed of back in 2018, but tuned with everything I learned from years of hill climb racing 2. The transition from being a player to the guy who builds the logic is like learning how a magic trick works. You realize that drawing a line isn't just a line, it's an array of points, a calculated collision polygon, and a set of physics variables that all have to talk to each other every single frame. I spent weeks just trying to get the collision to not explode, but because I had those years of HR2 experience, I knew what good physics felt like. I knew the weight the truck needed to have, the speed it would need to go at, the suspension of it, everything. So while I was buried in the code, I started thinking about why mobile games feel so hollow lately. Everything is a timer, especially fuel. In every game I played as a kid, fuel was the thing that told you to stop having fun. And I wanted to flip that. In Draw Road Racer, driving on the natural, rough terrain is what kills your fuel. It's bumpy, it's inefficient, the only way to save fuel is to draw. Your road is your lifeline. So everything was going great. The community was starting to grow. I called it Draw Race at the beginning and I loved it. But then I realized I was accidentally picking a fight I couldn't win. I found out the name was way too close to something owned by a giant, Ubisoft. And that was a heavy day. I felt like the project was over, but looking back, that was the growing up moment for this game. I rebranded everything to Draw Road Race. I stopped being just a dev with golden stars in his eyes and started being someone who owned a project. We recently pushed through the open alpha phase a few weeks ago. It's been clunky, the graphics are placeholders, but it's a stable foundation, and that leads me to where we are today. As of right now, I am going dark on public updates. I have finished the core 20% that proves the game works, but being a solo dev and a student is a massive balancing act. If I try to keep pushing weekly builds while also trying to pass my exams, I'm going to burn out before the finish line. I need to focus on building the other 80%, the maps, the upgrades, the polish, into a game that the kid who lost Rodfinger would have been proud of. But going dark on builds doesn't mean I am disappearing. I want to keep you guys in the loop, so I'll be sharing regular updates and even those hilarious physics fails on social media. If you want to see what's cooking behind the scenes, I would like to invite you to our Discord server with its link in the description and the pinned comment. Not only will you be part of a growing community, but I will be picking a small group of people in a few months to help me test the beta. You will also find in the description links to the TikTok, Instagram and YouTube pages for the game, on which I will be posting lots of content such as weekly devlogs, physics glitches and more. Make sure to follow them. The open alpha is going to stay up on itch.io forever as a time capsule. Download it, play it, enjoy it, even if it's still super basic. So I made a video game. It's not perfect yet, but I think the road ahead looks pretty interesting. I have to keep going for myself and for the community that supported me from the very start.